Can you imagine receiving divorce papers on your wedding anniversary? That's exactly what my husband had planned for me. But hold on, because this story has a twist you won't believe. Subscribe to the channel, because tomorrow I will bring something special for you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rebecca Morgan, I'm 48 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had a solid marriage. 23 years with Marcus Bennett. I met him in college. I was studying accounting, he was in business management. It was love at first sight, you know? Or at least that's what I thought. Everything started on a cold October night. I woke up around 2:30 a.m. to whispers coming from the hallway. Marcus was on the phone with someone, and his voice sounded excited, different. I stayed still in the dark, trying to catch snippets of the conversation. "We need to do this perfectly," Marcus insisted in a low voice. "She won't suspect anything." "Of course not, son," a woman's voice replied. His mother. My heart started racing. What were they plotting? And why now, just weeks before our anniversary? The hardwood floor creaked as Marcus returned to the bedroom. I quickly shut my eyes, pretending to be asleep. He slipped into bed carefully, but I could feel his body was stiff, restless. The next morning, everything felt strange. Marcus was unnaturally affectionate. "Rebecca, honey," he said, kissing my cheek. He smelled of expensive cologne I didn't recognize. "How about we finalize the restaurant choice for our anniversary today? I want everything to be perfect." Perfect. In 23 years of marriage, Marcus had never been this enthusiastic about celebrating anything. I was always the one organizing everything while he just criticized. "Sure," I replied carefully, watching him rush off to work. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. A calendar reminder lit up the screen. Call V at 10 a.m. I waited until I heard his car pull out of the driveway, then casually walked over to water my plants near the nightstand. The phone was right there, face up. "Who's this V in your contacts?" I asked when he called me later that morning from work. Marcus's voice tensed immediately. "Oh, Vincent, a colleague from Boston. Just a work thing." A lie. I knew my husband like the back of my hand. When he lied, his left eye twitched slightly. I couldn't see his face over the phone, but I could hear the hesitation in his voice. "What would you do in my place? Confront him right away or investigate first? Would you trust your gut or give him the benefit of the doubt?" I chose to investigate, and boy, am I glad I did. Once Marcus left for work, I stood by the window of our Chicago apartment, staring at the gray sky over Lake Michigan. 23 years. We met when we were young and full of dreams. We wanted children, a big family, but it never happened. The doctors found nothing wrong with either of us, but the miracle just never came. Marcus took it hard. His mother, Patricia Bennett, never let us forget it either. She'd make these passive-aggressive comments about grandchildren at every family gathering. "Such a shame," she'd say with that icy smile. "My friends all have grandchildren now, but what can you do?" Eventually, we accepted our reality and tried to focus on the positives. More time for ourselves, for travel, for our careers. I threw myself into my work as a financial controller. Marcus climbed the corporate ladder. We had a comfortable life, but something fundamental had shifted between us over the years. The warmth had faded. We were more like roommates than lovers. Still, I never imagined he'd betray me like this. A knock on the door pulled me from my thoughts. Patricia stood there with her usual cold smile, perfectly coiffed hair, designer coat, and that look of superiority she always wore. "Rebecca, dear," she said, walking in without waiting for an invitation. "Are you ready for the party?" In 23 years, Patricia had never once called me her daughter. Always dear with that icy, dismissive tone. "Getting there," I replied, leading her to the living room. She looked around our apartment with that evaluating gaze, the one that always made me feel like our place wasn't good enough compared to her suburban mansion. "I've been thinking," Patricia said, settling into the armchair like she owned the place. "Marcus isn't getting any younger. He's 51 now. Without grandchildren, don't you think it would be wise to arrange a will? You know, for my nephews." My blood ran cold. "What nephews, Patricia? We don't have children." "Well, my sister's boys. They're good kids, studying, working. If something happens and you don't plan ahead, the government takes everything." Then she asked something that made my stomach drop. By the way, where do you keep the apartment deed? Why do you ask? I said carefully. Oh, just in case. You never know what might happen. It's good to know where important documents are. Do you see where this is going? Because I was starting to. After Patricia left, I sat in silence, piecing things together. The late night call, Marcus's strange burst of affection, now Patricia's pointed questions about the property deed. Bit by bit, a picture was forming, and I did not like what I saw. I went to check Marcus's computer. He'd always used the same password. The date we met, June 15th, 2001, 061501. But it didn't work. My heart raced. In 23 years, he'd never kept secrets from me. I tried his birthday. Nothing. His mother's birthday. Nope. Our wedding anniversary. Still nothing. Then I tried our wedding date backwards. 101507. It worked. The browser history opened, and what I saw gave me a knot in my stomach. How to divorce when shared assets exist. Spousal rights in property division. Legal advice for separation. How to keep apartment in divorce. Legal tricks for dividing assets. He'd been researching all of this over the past 2 weeks. Page after page of divorce lawyers, asset protection strategies, and separation procedures. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the history. This wasn't curiosity. This was planning. Suddenly, my phone rang, making me jump. It was my friend Jennifer. Rebecca, you won't believe what I just saw. Marcus. I saw him at a jewelry store in Water Tower Place with a young woman. They were looking at rings. She was all over him, hugging him like they were together. My throat went dry. What did she look like? Maybe 30, blonde, very polished. Expensive clothes, designer bag. Pretty, but she looked, I don't know, superficial? And they were so openly affectionate. Are you okay, Rebecca? Yes, I lied. Everything's fine. But nothing was fine. That evening, Marcus came home late with a bouquet of roses and a box of expensive chocolates. The flowers were beautiful. Red roses, my favorite. But they felt like a slap in the face. For my one and only true love, he said confidently, kissing my lips. One and only. How ironic. How absolutely, painfully ironic. I looked him straight in the eye, studying his face. How long had he been lying to me? How many times had he kissed me after being with her? We need to talk about our future, I said carefully. Marcus tensed. It was subtle, a slight stiffening of his shoulders, a quick glance away. But I saw it. Talk about what? Everything's fine. The anniversary is in 1 week. All our friends will be there. Let's not spoil the mood with serious topics. We'll talk after the party. Okay, after the party. That meant something big was planned for the party itself. What would you do? Would you confront him then and there? Or would you wait and see what he had planned? I nodded, feigning acceptance, but felt an icy coldness spreading through my chest. Sure, after the party. But I had no intention of waiting passively. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I heard Marcus in the hallway again, whispering into his phone. I got up quietly and pressed my ear to the bedroom door. Mom, everything is perfect. The restaurant is booked. Guests confirmed. After the toast, it'll all just happen. Are you sure she doesn't suspect anything? How would she suspect? She's naive like a child. She's always trusted me, and she still does. Naive like a child. His words felt like knives. And if she doesn't want to sign the papers? Patricia's voice asked. She will sign. After what I tell her in front of everyone, she'll have no other option. Everyone will see what she's really like. Don't you think it would be better to do it privately at home? No, Mom. It has to be in front of everyone. That way, she won't be able to make a scene or demand explanations. She'll go straight home, and Hayes will be waiting with the papers. Quick, clean, and no drama. Hayes, the lawyer. And Vivian already knows. Of course. She's even coming to the anniversary. I'm going to introduce her as my new marketing assistant. I want her to meet my colleagues. Vivian. So that was her name. You're cruel, Patricia said, but she didn't sound disapproving. She sounded proud. It's not cruelty, Mom. It's being practical. 23 years was enough. I deserve to be happy too, even if it's at her expense. The words hung unspoken in the air, but I heard them anyway. I went back to bed, but I couldn't sleep. So Vivian was going to be at the party too. She was going to witness my public humiliation and then take my place in my home. That's what they thought. Can you imagine? They were planning my life like I was a piece of furniture they were discarding. In the morning, while Marcus was in the shower, I grabbed his phone from the nightstand. My hands were shaking, but I needed to see the truth with my own eyes. I tried several passwords. His birthday didn't work. Then I remembered the blonde from the jewelry store. March 8th, International Women's Day. It worked. The mistress's birthday. The text confirmed everything I feared. Vivian, my love, just a little more patience. After the anniversary, everything will be sorted. The apartment will be ours. M, you said we'd be living together by Christmas. I'm tired of hiding. I want to wake up next to you every morning. My love, everything's going according to plan. Mama's already taken care of things. Hayes says if we play this right, she'll only get half. I'll keep the apartment. Are you sure she won't fight it? After what we're going to do to her at the party, she won't have any fight left in her. Trust me, I felt like I was going to be sick. They weren't just planning to divorce me. They were planning to destroy me. I quickly took screenshots of everything and sent them to my email. Then I put his phone back exactly where I found it. Do you think I should have confronted him right then? Part of me wanted to throw the phone at his head when he came out of the shower. But I didn't, because I was starting to form a plan of my own. I called my college friend Monica Wright. We didn't talk often anymore. Life gets busy, but our friendship had always been strong. She was now a successful family attorney in downtown Chicago. Rebecca. Monica answered, surprised. Long time no talk. How are you? Can we meet today? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I need a consultation. Of course. I'm free at 6. Come to the office and we'll talk. Monica's office was in one of those sleek glass buildings downtown. She greeted me with a warm hug, but immediately noticed the tension in my face. Sit down. Tell me everything. What's wrong? I took a deep breath. Let's just say, a friend of mine is having trouble with her husband. He wants a divorce but is hiding it, and it seems he's setting a trap. Monica looked at me intently, seeing right through my pretense. You sure this is a hypothetical friend, Rebecca? I was silent for a few seconds, then the dam broke. I told her everything. The late night calls, the computer searches, the text messages, Vivian, Patricia's scheming, the planned public humiliation. Everything. Monica listened intently, occasionally asking for clarification, taking notes on a legal pad. This is serious, she said finally, putting down her pen. But you're not lost. The good news is you reacted in time. Tell me about the apartment. When did you buy it? Whose name is on the deed? We put both names on it in 2007. Equal shares. Okay. Are you formally employed? Yes. I'm the financial controller at Summit Development Group. I've been there for 15 years. That's good. Steady employment, good income. What other assets do you have? There's a weekend cabin up in Wisconsin. Also in both names, but it's not worth much. The apartment is the main asset. It's worth about $800,000 now. Monica jotted down notes. Rebecca, they can't do anything to you if you keep a clear head. In a divorce, everyone receives what is legally theirs. No one can force you to waive your share. But it's clear they are planning something dirty. They want to put you in a weak emotional position. A scandal, public humiliation, false accusations, something to break you psychologically. You need to be ready. How do I prepare? First, gather evidence. Take photos of the messages. Record conversations if you can. Illinois is a two-party consent state for recordings, so be careful, but you can take notes of what you hear. Second, move some money into an account only in your name. Not half, not most, just enough to protect yourself. Third, and most importantly, don't let them know that you know. Let them think their plan is working perfectly. I nodded, feeling something close to relief for the first time in days. I had a strategy. I had support. Thanks, Monica. How much do I owe you for this consultation? Monica smiled and reached across the desk to squeeze my hand. Nothing, girl. Friends don't charge. Just keep me in the loop. And remember, no matter what happens, you are not alone and you are not defenseless. I left her office feeling stronger, more determined. But when I got home, what I found confirmed that the war had already begun. Marcus was standing by the entrance mirror, checking his reflection. When I walked in, he looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before, critical, almost disgusted. "You know, honey, you've kind of let yourself go lately," he said, not even looking directly at me. "I'm sorry, but it's true. You're almost 50, and, well, you need to take care of yourself more. Go to the gym, see a dermatologist, maybe consider some enhancements." Enhancements? He meant cosmetic procedures. "I saw Jennifer's daughter today," he continued, still examining himself in the mirror. "Amanda. She's 30 but looks 25. Very polished, very put together. And you? Well, you understand." He was comparing me to younger women, setting the stage to justify his betrayal to our friends and family. Look how she let herself go. I needed someone who takes care of herself. Do you see what he was doing? Building a narrative where I was the problem. "I have a meeting tomorrow," he announced suddenly. "It's Saturday, but it will take all day. Important clients. A Saturday meeting. Right. Another date with Vivian." "That's fine," I replied calmly, even though my blood was boiling. "And Sunday, I'm going to help Mom set up her new smart TV. Might take a few hours." Spending time with his co-conspirator. That night, when Marcus was asleep, I reviewed our joint bank account online. What I found made me furious. In the last month alone, $35,000 had been withdrawn in several transactions. Tiffany & Company, $4,500. Nordstrom, $2,800. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, $650. The Peninsula Hotel, deposit $15,000. Hayes & Associates, $8,000. Cartier, $3,200. Gifts for Vivian. Fancy dinners. The lawyer. The party venue. All with our shared money. Money I had helped save. Money from my salary, too. I sat there in the dark, staring at the screen, a brittle laugh escaping my throat. They were using my own money to plan my downfall. But here's where the story takes a turn, because I had something they didn't know about. A week earlier, a thick envelope had arrived from London. I'd been so distracted by Marcus's strange behavior that I'd almost forgotten about it. But now I pulled it out from where I'd hidden it in my filing cabinet. It was from an estate attorney in London. My Aunt Margaret, my father's older sister, had passed away at age 83. She'd never married, never had children. She'd lived a quiet life in London, and I'd only met her a handful of times as a child. But she remembered me, and she'd left me everything. I opened the documents with shaking hands. A flat in Kensington, London, valued at approximately £700,000, about 900,000 US dollars. A bank account with £485,000, about 620,000 US dollars. A vacation property in Marathon, Florida Keys, valued at $450,000. Investment accounts totaling another $320,000. Total value, over $3.5 million. I had to read it 3 times before it sank in. I was a millionaire, independently wealthy, free. I hadn't told anyone about the inheritance. I'd wanted to surprise Marcus on our anniversary, share the good news, maybe finally take that trip to Italy we'd always talked about. But now, that money was my salvation, my escape route, my weapon. Do you think I should have told him anyway? Or was I right to keep it secret? I carefully put the documents back in their hiding place and opened my laptop. I spent the next few hours researching how to protect inherited assets in a divorce, how to transfer international funds, how to establish separate bank accounts, property rights for premarital versus marital assets. By 3 a.m., I had a plan. On Monday morning, I waited until Marcus left for work, then made a series of calls. First, I contacted the estate attorney in London and began the process of transferring the inheritance. They assured me it would take about 2 weeks to complete all the paperwork. Second, I opened a new bank account at a completely different bank, one Marcus had never used. I transferred exactly half of our joint savings, $42,000, into my new account. Not a penny more. Just my fair share. Third, I called Mr. Harrison, the real estate attorney who had helped us buy the apartment years ago. Rebecca Bennett. It's been years. How are you and Marcus? Mr. Harrison, I need your help with something. Strictly confidential. His tone changed immediately, becoming professional. Of course. Come by this afternoon. At his office, I got straight to the point. Mr. Harrison, do you remember our apartment on Lakeshore Drive? You handled the paperwork back in 2007. Yes, I remember. Beautiful unit, great location. Do you recall who actually purchased it first? Where the down payment came from? Mr. Harrison frowned and went to his filing cabinets. He pulled out a thick folder and began flipping through pages. Here it is, he said after a moment, adjusting his glasses. This was actually an interesting case. The down payment, all $200,000, came directly from your parents' account. And in the deed of gift, you are listed as the sole recipient. Marcus was added to the title 2 months later as your spouse, after the wedding. My heart soared. So it's formally a premarital asset? Technically, yes. The property was gifted to you before Marcus's name appeared on any documents. In case of divorce, that distinction can make a significant difference. He could only claim a share if he could prove he invested substantial money in major renovations or improvements. I thought about our apartment. Marcus had never spent a dime on improvements. I'd paid for the new kitchen cabinets, the bathroom renovation, the new flooring, all with money from my salary or my parents' help. Could you prepare a document confirming this? Something that would hold up in court? Absolutely. I'll have it ready by tomorrow afternoon. There's a small fee for the certification dash. That's fine. Whatever it costs. I left Mr. Harrison's office feeling powerful for the first time in weeks. The apartment, our home, worth $800,000, was legally mine. Marcus's entire plan was built on sand. But I wasn't done yet. That evening, Marcus came home late, smelling of perfume that definitely wasn't mine. He tried to hug me, but I moved away, pretending I needed to check something in the oven. Everything okay? He asked, a hint of concern in his voice. Or was it suspicion? Fine, I said breezily. Just busy. How was your day? Long, very long. This new project is killing me. New project? Right. By the way, he said, loosening his tie, I've been thinking. For the anniversary party, I want to give a special speech. About our life together, our journey, our future plans. Future plans? I asked carefully. You'll see. It's a surprise. A surprise. My blood ran cold, but I smiled sweetly. I can't wait. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Around 2 a.m., I heard Marcus in the hallway, whispering on the phone again. I crept to the door and listened. Mom, everything is perfect. The restaurant confirmed. Guests are coming. After my toast, it will all just happen. Are you absolutely sure she doesn't suspect? Mom, she's clueless. She asked about the speech, and I just said it was a surprise. She smiled and said she couldn't wait. She has no idea what's coming. And Vivian will be there. I've told everyone she's my new marketing assistant. No one will think twice about it. When will you serve her the papers? Hayes will be waiting at the apartment. After the party, after everyone sees what I say about her, she'll be too humiliated to fight. She'll just sign everything and leave quietly. What if she makes a scene at the restaurant? She won't. Rebecca's too proper, too concerned about appearances. With 100 people watching, she'll keep it together. That's exactly why I chose to do it publicly. My hands clenched into fists. They had every detail planned out. Are you sure about the apartment ownership? Patricia asked. Hayes confirmed it. Both our names are on the title. In Illinois, marital property is divided equally. But with the right paperwork and approach, we can make her waive her claim. She'll be so devastated she won't think straight. If only they knew. I went back to bed, but my mind was racing. I had 6 days until the anniversary. 6 days to finalize my counterattack. The next morning, I went back to Mr. Harrison's office to pick up the property documentation. It was perfect, legal, certified, with all the original paperwork attached. Then I visited Monica again. How are you holding up? She asked. I'm ready, I said. But I need your advice on one more thing. I told her about the inheritance. Monica's eyes widened. Rebecca, that changes everything. Inherited assets are completely separate property. He has zero claim to any of it. That's what I thought. But I need to make sure it's protected. Keep the inheritance completely separate. Don't deposit any of it in joint accounts. Don't use it for anything that could be considered marital expenses. Keep perfect records of everything. Already done. Monica smiled. You're a fast learner. Over the next few days, I watched Marcus carefully. He was nervous, constantly checking his phone, making hushed calls. The anniversary was in 3 days, and he was like a coiled spring. On Wednesday, Patricia came over again, this time with a gift bag. Rebecca, dear, she said in that syrupy voice. I wanted to give you this before the party. Inside was an envelope. I opened it to find a business card. Hayes and Associates, Family Law, Divorce and Asset Division, and a handwritten note. Complimentary consultation anytime. Just in case you need advice about legal matters. The audacity. The sheer, breathtaking audacity. They were giving me a consultation with the very lawyer who was planning my betrayal. Thank you, Patricia, I said calmly, putting the card back in the envelope. Very thoughtful. I worry about you, daughter, she said, and for the first time in 23 years, she called me daughter. Daughter? Right before stabbing me in the back. After she left, I went through Marcus's jackets in the closet. In one of them, I found a crumpled business card for the same lawyer with handwritten notes on the back. Wife unaware of plan. Proceed with public announcement. Papers ready for signature. Payment due. $8,000 balance. That night, Marcus came home with flowers again and chocolate truffles from that expensive boutique downtown. Everything is set, he announced, pouring himself a scotch. The party is going to be incredible. 100 guests confirmed. The ballroom at the Peninsula is stunning. How much did all this cost? I asked innocently. He waved his hand dismissively. Don't worry about it. We have the money. The important thing is making the right impression. The right impression. On Vivian, he meant. At the party, I'm going to give a speech, he said, swirling his drink. About us, about our journey, about what comes next. What has come next? I asked softly. He looked at me with something like pity. You'll see, Rebecca. You'll see. I smiled and nodded. But inside, I was counting down the hours. The day of the anniversary arrived. Friday, October 15th. 23 years to the day since we'd stood before a judge and promised to love each other forever. Forever turned out to have an expiration date. Marcus spent the morning at the office. I spent it making final preparations of my own. I organized all my documents in a folder. The property certification from Mr. Harrison, the inheritance papers, the bank statements showing the new account, screenshots of Marcus's text messages with Vivian. Everything I needed. I put on the elegant navy dress I'd bought specifically for this occasion. Not the one Marcus had commented on. He'd said it was too matronly. No, I'd bought a new one, sleek and sophisticated, that made me look and feel powerful. When Marcus came home to change, he looked at me critically. That's what you're wearing? Yes. You don't like it? He shrugged. It's fine, I guess. Little plain, but fine. Vivian had probably texted him what she was wearing. He was comparing us already. We drove to the Peninsula Hotel in silence. Marcus kept drumming his fingers on the steering wheel, nervous energy radiating from him. Are you okay? I asked. Fine. Just tonight is important. Very important. I know, I said softly. 23 years is significant. He glanced at me, and for just a moment, I saw something like regret flash across his face. But it vanished quickly. The ballroom was spectacular, I had to admit. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, gold candles on each table. Marcus had spared no expense for my public execution. 100 guests mingled, drinking champagne, laughing. Colleagues from both our companies, old friends, neighbors, extended family. People who'd known us for years. At the main table, Marcus's mother Patricia was already holding court, accepting compliments on her wonderful son and his lovely wife. In one corner, I spotted her. Vivian, young, blonde, stunning in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Marcus had introduced her to several colleagues as his new marketing assistant. She smiled and chatted, perfectly at ease. And at a small table near the back sat a man in his 50s in a dark suit, watching everything with calculating eyes. Mr. Hayes, the lawyer, ready to pounce. Do you think they really thought I wouldn't notice? That I'd be completely blindsided? The dinner was excellent: filet mignon, roasted vegetables, expensive wine flowing freely. People came to our table to congratulate us, to toast to 23 more years. If only they knew what was coming. After dessert, the MC, a friend of Marcus's from his office, stood up with the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? Marcus would like to say a few words in honor of his beautiful wife, Rebecca. The room fell silent. Everyone turned toward our table. I sat very still, hands folded in my lap, that folder of documents beside me. Marcus stood, took the microphone, and smiled broadly. He looked confident, almost excited. Friends, thank you all for being here tonight. 23 years is no small thing. It's almost a quarter century with one person. Guests nodded, raising their glasses. Someone called out, "To Marcus and Rebecca." "I've thought a lot about our life together," Marcus continued, his voice carrying through the room. "About what united us in the beginning, what made us happy, and what didn't work so well." The room grew quieter. People began to look confused. This wasn't a typical anniversary speech. "People change as they grow older," Marcus said. "What seems right when you're young can eventually turn out to be a mistake. And I've realized something important recently." My heart was pounding, but I kept my face calm, neutral. 23 years ago, I chose my life partner based on youthful emotions, on what I thought I wanted. But life taught me to see things more clearly, to understand what I really need. Patricia was watching with a small, satisfied smile. Vivian had moved closer, watching intently. "Rebecca." Marcus turned to me, and his voice became harder, colder. "You've been a dedicated wife. But dedication isn't enough. We've grown apart. We want different things. We are different people now." Some guests shifted uncomfortably. Others exchanged confused glances. Then Marcus turned back to the audience, and his voice rang out clearly. "Dear friends, I want to be completely honest with all of you and with myself. For 23 years, I've lived with a woman who simply isn't right for me anymore. A woman who has become, how do I say this kindly, dull, boring. Someone who doesn't understand how to be a successful man's partner." Gasps erupted throughout the room. Someone dropped a glass. "Marcus, what are you doing?" someone called out. "I'm finally telling the truth," he said firmly. "Rebecca needs to understand this, and I want you all to witness it. Our marriage is over. I'm filing for divorce." The room exploded into chaos. People were talking over each other, some standing up, others staring in shock. "Furthermore," Marcus continued, raising his voice over the commotion, "I expect a fair and equitable division of all our assets. Rebecca will need to vacate our apartment. It's time for both of us to move on to new lives, new relationships." He looked pointedly at Vivian, who was trying to appear sympathetic but couldn't quite hide her triumphant smile. "Have you lost your mind?" a woman shouted, Mrs. Chun, my colleague from Summit Development. "Quite the opposite," Marcus replied smoothly. "I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. I have the right to pursue happiness, and I'm going to exercise that right." That was my cue. I slowly stood up. The room fell silent, everyone expecting tears, screaming, a dramatic breakdown. I gently took the microphone from Marcus's hand. "Thank you, Marcus," I said in a quiet, calm voice. "That was very honest of you." Marcus looked surprised. This wasn't in his script. "You know, everyone," I continued, looking around the room at all those familiar faces. "Marcus is absolutely right about one thing. It's time to stop lying. It's time for the truth." I paused, letting the anticipation build. "The truth is, I've known about this charade for 3 weeks now." Marcus's face went pale. "I knew about Vivian." I gestured toward the blonde, whose smile vanished instantly. "I knew about the lawyer, Mr. Hayes, who's sitting right over there in the back. I knew about your plan to humiliate me publicly and then force me to sign away my rights to our home." Mr. Hayes stood up abruptly, trying to slip toward the exit, but several angry guests blocked his path. "Rebecca, what are you?" Marcus tried to interrupt. What am I doing? I'm telling our friends the truth. Something you should have done 23 years ago if you weren't happy. I pulled out my folder and opened it calmly. You see, Marcus, you made a crucial mistake in your planning. Our apartment isn't a shared marital asset. It was a gift from my parents in my name before we married. I have the certified documentation right here from Mr. Harrison, the attorney who handled the original purchase. Marcus took a step back, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. But wait, there's more. I continued, enjoying this more than I probably should have. 3 weeks ago, I inherited my Aunt Margaret's estate, a flat in London, a vacation home in the Florida Keys, and over $1 million in cash and investments. Total value? Approximately $3.5 million. The silence in the room was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop. So, Marcus, what property division were you talking about? In our divorce, you'll receive exactly half of the weekend cabin. That's about $15,000 and half the value of your Audi. Everything else is mine. The apartment, the inheritance, the accounts I've already separated. Vivian had gone completely white. She looked at Marcus with an expression of betrayal and rage. Oh, and here's the really fun part, I said, warming to my subject. Do you all want to know how much your successful friend Marcus spent on this elaborate party to publicly humiliate his wife? $45,000 from our joint savings account. Money I helped earn and save. The guests erupted in outrage. People were standing now shouting, "Marcus Bennett, you're disgusting," someone yelled. "How could you do this to her? 23 years, and this is how you repay her?" I held up my hand for quiet. But I'm not a vindictive person. Marcus, you're free. Take your wonderful new assistant and live wherever you like. Just not in my apartment. Because as of tomorrow morning, I'm filing for divorce, and Mr. Hayes over there won't be needed anymore. I have my own attorney. I looked around the room at all the shocked faces. Dear friends, I apologize for disrupting what should have been a celebration. But sometimes the truth is more important than maintaining appearances. Thank you all for coming tonight. Now you know exactly who Marcus Bennett really is. I placed the microphone gently on the table, picked up my folder and my purse, and walked toward the exit. Behind me, absolute chaos erupted. "Marcus, you son of a," someone started. "Wait, this isn't," Marcus's voice, desperate now. "Don't you dare." That was Vivian, screaming at Marcus. "You promised me a luxury apartment. You said she was stupid, that she'd never figure it out. You said you had everything under control." I didn't look back. I walked out of that ballroom with my head held high into the cool Chicago night air. Freedom. I stood on the sidewalk and breathed deeply. After 23 years of slowly suffocating, I could finally breathe. Do you think I handled that right? Would you have done it differently? Through the tall windows of the hotel, I could see the complete meltdown happening inside. Marcus stood in the center of the ballroom, looking utterly lost. Patricia was rushing around, trying to do damage control. Vivian was screaming at both of them. And the guests? They were recording everything on their phones. I hailed a taxi and gave the driver my address. As we pulled away from the hotel, my phone started buzzing with texts. "Jennifer, OMG Rebecca, you were incredible. I'm so proud of you. Monica, that's my girl. Call me tomorrow. We'll finalize everything. Mrs. Chin. Rebecca, you have all of Summit's support." Marcus showed his true colors tonight, but I wasn't interested in reading them all right now. I just watched the city lights blur past the taxi window. "Rough night?" the driver asked, glancing at me in the rearview mirror. Actually, I smiled. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. What I didn't see, but heard about later from gleeful friends who stayed, was the complete implosion that happened after I left. Vivian, realizing that her sugar daddy was actually broke and that the promised luxury lifestyle was never going to materialize, went ballistic. "You liar," she screamed at Marcus in front of everyone. "You've been promising me for 3 months. You said we'd live in a huge downtown apartment. You said you had everything under control." "Vivian, please not here," Marcus begged. "Why not here? You just humiliated your wife in front of 100 people. Why should I protect you?" Then, according to Jennifer, who recorded this part on her phone and sent it to me later, Vivian turned to the stunned guests and spilled everything. "You want to know the truth? This successful man has been lying to everyone. He promised me riches. He bought me jewelry with his wife's money. He took out loans, $20,000 from one bank, $15,000 from another, and spent it all on me, on dinners, on gifts. He thought his wife would never find out. The room erupted again. Even people who'd been sympathetic to Marcus turned on him. You took out loans? Secret loans, his boss, Mr. Thompson, demanded. Patricia rushed forward. What loans? What is this woman talking about? And what inheritance does Rebecca have? Mom, not now, Marcus mumbled, his face ashen. Not now. I mortgaged my house to give you money for that lawyer. How am I supposed to pay it back now? Even his mother was in debt because of his scheme. Wait, let me get this straight, Mrs. Chen said loudly. The three of you, Marcus, his mother, and the lawyer, planned this together? To trick Rebecca. Or, Vivian spat venomously. Don't forget Hayes. He was going to make her sign papers, giving up her rights to the apartment. He coached Marcus on exactly what to say to break her down emotionally. Everyone turned to look at Hayes, but his chair was empty. The lawyer had already fled. This is absolutely disgusting, Mr. Thompson said, his face red with anger. Marcus, first thing Monday morning. We need to talk about your future with the company. I will not have someone of such poor character in a leadership position. But sir, not another word. You've embarrassed yourself, your wife, and by extension, our entire organization. Then Jennifer told me the best part. Marcus's college friend David stood up and addressed the room. I've known Marcus for 25 years. I was at their wedding. I watched them build a life together. And tonight, I watched him reveal himself to be one of the most cowardly, selfish men I've ever met. Anyone who would do this to their partner of 23 years isn't worth knowing. A wave of agreement swept through the room. One by one, people began to leave, but not before making their feelings known. Marcus, lose my number. Don't ever contact me again. I hope Rebecca takes you for everything. Within an hour, the ballroom was nearly empty except for Marcus, Patricia, Vivian, and a few stunned waitstaff cleaning up. So, Vivian said, fixing her smudged makeup, do you even have any money at all, Marcus? I spent it on the party, on you, on the lawyers. What about me? Vivian's voice rose. I left my boyfriend for you. You promised me a lifestyle. I don't know what to tell you, Vivian. I don't have money right now. Maybe I can sell the car. The car? Vivian laughed hysterically. Are you insane? That won't even cover your debts. And what about me? I don't know, Marcus shouted. I don't know what to do. Patricia sat down heavily, her face in her hands. I'm 70 years old. I mortgaged my home for you. For this disaster. Vivian stood up, grabbed her designer purse, and looked at them both with contempt. You know what? I'm done. You two deserve each other. Marcus, don't ever call me again. And the money you owe me for the last 3 months? Consider it payment for this life lesson. She paused at the door and turned back one last time. Your wife is a badass. It's a shame I only realized that tonight. Those are the kind of women who deserve respect. Not gold diggers like me, and certainly not losers like you. The click of her heels echoed as she walked away. Marcus and Patricia sat in the empty ballroom, surrounded by wilted roses and half-empty champagne glasses. What do we do now? Patricia whispered. I don't know, Mom, Marcus said, his head in his hands. I don't know. Meanwhile, I was home in my apartment, pouring myself a glass of wine and looking at the Chicago skyline. My phone buzzed. Monica, tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office. We file the papers. Bring everything. I texted back, I'll be there. Then I opened my laptop and booked a flight to London for next week. I wanted to see my aunt's flat, the inheritance that had saved me. And maybe, just maybe, I'd stay there for a while. Start fresh. Why not? What would you do with $3.5 million and total freedom? Where would you go? The next few months were a whirlwind, but I'll give you the highlights. The video of the party went absolutely viral. Someone uploaded it to social media with the hashtag #anniversarybetrayal, and it spread like wildfire. Within a week, it had over 10 million views. Marcus lost his job. Mr. Thompson made good on his word. After the scandal and the video going viral, the company didn't want to be associated with him. He tried to find another position in his field, but everywhere he applied, the hiring managers recognized him. "Oh, you're the anniversary guy. Yeah, we'll pass." He ended up driving for a rideshare company with his old Honda Civic, which he'd had to buy back after selling his Audi to pay down some of his debt. And where did he live? With Patricia in her tiny apartment on the outskirts of the city. She'd had to sell her beautiful suburban home to pay off the mortgage she'd taken out and cover her own expenses. They now shared a cramped one-bedroom in a questionable neighborhood. According to Jennifer, who ran into Patricia at the grocery store, Marcus sleeps on the sofa and drives 12 hours a day just to cover his share of rent and his loan payments. "Don't you wish you'd listened to me?" Patricia apparently says to him every night. "Never gotten involved with that Vivian girl?" "It's too late for regrets, Mom," Marcus replies. "And Vivian?" "Oh, she landed on her feet just fine. 2 months after the scandal, she married a wealthy 55-year-old restaurant owner. Not too smart, but very rich. She posted wedding photos on social media with the caption, 'Finally found my Prince Charming.' #new beginnings, #blessed. Marcus saw those photos. Jennifer told me he made some bitter comment about how Vivian got everything she wanted, just not with him. Karma works in mysterious ways, doesn't it? As for me, I did fly to London. Aunt Margaret's flat in Kensington was absolutely beautiful. High ceilings, original moldings, a view of the park. I stayed there for 2 months, just breathing, healing, rediscovering who I was outside of being Marcus's wife. When I came back to Chicago, I resigned from Summit Development. Mr. Chin tried hard to keep me, even offered me a promotion and a raise. "Rebecca, you're the best financial controller we've ever had. Are you absolutely sure?" "I'm sure," I told him. "I've realized life is too short to spend it doing something just because it's safe. I want to do something I'm passionate about." "What will you do?" "I'm going to open a bookstore." And I did. With part of my inheritance, I opened a beautiful independent bookstore in Wicker Park called Second Chapter Books. It specializes in used and rare books and has a cozy cafe in the back. It's been a dream of mine since I was a girl, but I'd always been too practical, too cautious to try it. Marcus used to laugh whenever I mentioned it. "Books? Nobody reads anymore, Rebecca. Don't be naive." "Well, people do read. My store is thriving. We host author readings, book clubs, poetry nights. We've become a real community gathering place. I hired 5 employees, all young women who love literature as much as I do. We have deep conversations about books, about life, about finding your path. One day, my youngest employee, Emma, asked me, 'Ms. Morgan, is it true what people say? About your anniversary party? What do people say? That your husband tried to divorce you in front of 100 people, but you turned it around on him?' I smiled. Something like that, yes. That's so badass," Emma said admiringly. "My mom says there aren't enough women who stand up for themselves like that." "I don't think of myself as particularly strong," I replied. "I just decided I wasn't going to be a victim." "That's exactly what strength is," Emma said simply. She was right, I suppose. About a year after the divorce was finalized, I received a letter. Handwritten, postmarked from Chicago. I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity got the better of me. "Dear Rebecca, I don't know if you'll read this. I wouldn't blame you if you threw it straight in the trash. I've had a lot of time to think over the past year. A lot of time driving strangers around the city, living in my mother's apartment, watching everything I built crumble because of my own stupidity. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. You were loyal, supportive, smart, beautiful. Everything I could have wanted. And I threw it all away because I was selfish and greedy and stupid. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. I understand what I lost. I understand what I destroyed. I hope you're happy. I truly do. You deserve the best that life has to offer. I'm sorry for everything. Marcus." I read the letter twice, then put it in a drawer. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel sadness. I just felt nothing. Like it was a letter from a stranger about events that happened to someone else. That evening, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine, watching the sunset paint the Chicago sky in shades of orange and pink. My bookstore was doing well. I had good friends. I had financial security. I had my freedom. For the first time in decades, I felt truly at peace. Monica came over that weekend. We sat in my bookstore after hours, drinking wine among the shelves of books. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Those 23 years?" I thought about it carefully. "No," I said finally. "Those years taught me invaluable lessons. They taught me to rely on myself. They taught me my own worth. They taught me that I'm stronger than I ever imagined." That's a good way to look at it. Besides, I smiled, if none of that had happened, I'd still be living a lie. I'd still be with a man who didn't really love me, pretending everything was fine. Now I'm free to build the life I actually want, not the life I thought I was supposed to have. Monica raised her glass. "To second chapters." "To second chapters," I echoed. And you know what? This second chapter is turning out to be the best one yet. I'm not going to lie and say I never think about Marcus, that I never wonder how things might have been different. But those thoughts come less and less frequently. Mostly, I'm too busy living my new life to dwell on the old one. Last month, I went on a date. First one since the divorce. A nice professor who comes into the bookstore regularly. We went to dinner, talked about books and travel and life. It was pleasant. Am I ready for another relationship? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But the point is, it's my choice now. Everything is my choice. I wake up every morning in my beautiful apartment, my apartment owned free and clear, and I go to MY Bookstore, and I spend my days surrounded by stories and good people and strong coffee. Is it the life I imagined when I was 25 and getting married? No. It's better. Because it's authentic. It's mine. So what's the moral of this story? What would I tell someone else going through something similar? Document everything. Trust your instincts. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're crazy for suspecting something is wrong. Protect your assets. And most importantly, know your worth. Nobody gets to write your story but you. Not your husband, not your mother-in-law, not some mistress, nobody. You're the author of your own life. And if someone tries to publicly humiliate you, well, make sure you're holding all the cards before they play their hand. The truth always wins in the end. Always. It might take time, it might be painful, but it wins. Marcus thought he was the smart one, the successful one, the one who deserved better. But in the end, who's living their dream life? Who's happy? Who's free? Not him. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well. It's building something beautiful from the ashes of what burned down. It's refusing to let someone else's betrayal define who you are. I'm Rebecca Morgan. I'm 50 years old. I own a thriving bookstore in Chicago. I have properties in 3 cities. I have real friends who actually care about me. I have my dignity and my self-respect. And I'm happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. Can Marcus say the same thing? I doubt it. So that's my story. The story of how my husband tried to divorce me at our anniversary party, and how I turned the tables on him completely. What would you have done in my position? Would you have confronted him earlier? Would you have handled the party differently? Or do you think I did the right thing? I'd love to know what you think. Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts. And remember, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, know that you're not powerless. You're not stuck. You always have options, even when it doesn't feel like it. Sometimes the ending you don't plan turns out to be the best one after all. Thanks for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there who needs to hear it. Take care of yourselves, know your worth, and never, ever let anyone convince you that you deserve less than respect and honesty. Until next time, Rebecca.